Welcome to Restaurant Influencers presented by Entrepreneur. My name is Sean Walcha, founder of Cali BBQ and Cali BBQ Media. In life, in the restaurant business, and in the new creator economy, we learn through lessons and stories. We are grateful to Toast, our primary technology partner at our barbecue restaurants, for believing in this show, believing in the power of storytelling, believing in the power of technology to help power restaurants all over the United States. And for giving us this opportunity to have a really cool conversation. I have been following this brand digitally. I haven't had the opportunity to experience the barbecue, but as someone that's been in the barbecue game for 15 years, there aren't many people who do it well. And the people that do it well, we admire from afar, and we're lucky to sometimes share that barbecue story. Today, we have Micha Magid, who is the co-founder, co-CEO of Mighty Quinn's Barbecue. Micha, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
So favorite random question to start the show is, where in the world is your favorite stadium, stage, or venue?
Oh, that's an easy one. Madison Square Garden.
MSG.
MSG, yep.
Right, MSG. So we're going to go to MSG. I'm going to talk to Entrepreneur, talk to Toast, talk to some other brand partners of ours, and we're going to do a TEDx style hospitality conference. I'm not talking about a panel, so I'm not going to put you on a panel. I'm going to put you on center court, and I'm going to give you the mic and say, Micha, I need you to give us, this entire crowd, this MSG crowd. I need you to know the story. I need that oh shit story from when you jumped off the cliff. Investment banking into barbecue. Well, what happened? Tell us the Mighty Quinn story.
Sure. Well, first of all, speaking on the floor of the Garden, not intimidating at all. So this is fine.
You got Spike Lee. I'll invite Spike Lee just for this.
No pressure. So when I started with the brand, I was kind of post banking. I was doing my hedge fund career, and we opened Mighty Quinn's really as a brick and mortar version of what was a pop-up at the time. We were smoking meats on the back of a pickup truck in Brooklyn. And by we, I mean our other co-founder, Hugh. And we just saw, the lines were forming instantaneously. The lines would last all day long. And basically, the time we closed is the time we sold out. There were no breaks. It was just basically slicing brisket for, whatever it was, 6 or 7 hours straight. And so we said, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe the fact that New York is this amazing culinary destination, and it's kind of bizarre that you can't find legit barbecue. Like, why is that? So we kind of tested that idea by opening our brick and mortar in the East Village. And, 3 months after we opened that store, we found ourselves on the cover of the New York Times dining section with this glowing review. And that was like the holy shit moment.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Bring me back to before that. I need to know what was compelling enough, because people that listen to the show, we're fortunate it's Entrepreneur. This goes out to millions of people all over the world who care about hospitality, different leaders, and some of them are in leadership positions. Other ones dream of maybe one day that I could have my own restaurant or food brand or be a creator in the food space. You made a big leap getting into this hospitality game.
Sure. So it wasn't a coincidence. So when I was managing money at the hedge fund I was at, we always looked for businesses that could scale very quickly without a lot of capital. So we view those as high return on invested capital businesses. And so there are certain characteristics of businesses that check those boxes, like software companies, right? Not something like, just to take the other side of the coin here, like a mining operation where you have to spend millions of dollars on trucks and lease land and write very capital intensive, labor intensive thing. So we always look for these businesses with high returns because they could scale quickly, and obviously valuations could scale much faster. And so when we thought about building a brand, it had a lot of those dynamics in it, right? Yes, we're opening a restaurant. There's 4 walls. It's a physical space. However, we knew if we could create a brand, then that thing could become its own business, and we could use the IP power of Mighty Quinn's to expand into new regions. And that's kind of how the franchising business took off. We wanted to create a meaningful brand presence in the Northeast under this category. And then, by doing so, we said, okay, let's try to leverage this investment, this IP, and open up in new markets. And that's how kind of the growth plan formed.
Can you give us an idea of the scale and scope of the operation as we sit in 2023? towards
Sure.
the end?
Yeah. So we'll finish the year with about 19 locations, including our stadiums. And I think, for next year right now, we'll probably open at least 6 or 7 more doors.
That's amazing. Can you give us an idea of what those footprints look like before you get in? Before we talk stadium, let's talk brick and mortar. What do those 4 walls look like, the concepts?
Sure. So a little different than like a traditional multi-unit scaling plan where all the boxes kind of look similar. We took a little bit of a different approach, and we want to open the right real estate for that market. So for example, we have a location down on Wall Street. We're in a 650 square foot, almost like enlarged, part of a dining concourse, but it's almost like a giant kiosk, right, in this big dining hall. That's one version. And then in Clifton, we have a 3,500 square foot, brick and mortar restaurant in New Jersey, right? Two very different things, the exact same menu, but from a real estate perspective, very different, right?
Yeah.
So when we scale, we kind of use that lens to kind of look at each market differently and say, okay, what does this market need? Does it need a dining room? Does it need a bar? Is it solely a takeout and delivery market, whereby we would have like an 800 square foot box? So we do that analysis first, and then we go find the real estate.
Can you tell me, do you have a commissary?
We do, yeah.
Okay, and is that also servicing takeout in a restaurant, or is that commissary?
Yeah, so the commissary we built because we had a few locations where we couldn't smoke on site, and then the stadium business started getting big. So we're in 4 stadiums now. So
Which ones?
Kind of, so we're in the Garden, where I'm speaking to you now from.
Amazing.
Yankee Stadium. Then we have UBS Arena, which is relatively new, the home of the Islanders. And then we're in the Prudential Center, home of the Devils.
I love it. Can you explain to me the reasoning behind stadiums?
Sure.
Especially when you're talking about craft barbecue. I mean, we're talking about the best of the best.
Well, the cool thing we saw, or I would say over the past 15 years, is stadiums have evolved from burgers and chicken tenders, right, out of the freezer into the fryer, into elevated culinary experiences. And by virtue of that, they needed to bring brands in who kind of knew what they were doing, right? And so as we saw each stadium kind of turn over the F&B operations, we found ourselves in conversations like, how do we get barbecue into the stadium? And like, that's, to be honest, the first one was Yankee Stadium. And just by sheer coincidence, the guy who was handling that F&B program lived on the Upper East Side and was a fan of our restaurant.
Awesome. So
that's how that conversation started. And then the Garden saw us doing that. And then the Garden said, hey, why don't we give this a shot too? We opened one, did very well. We opened a second one in the Garden, a few months later. So there's 2 locations in the Garden. So I think like as people went to sporting events and concerts, the expectation of having like an awesome food experience in tandem with that entertainment experience became a much more important thing. And so that's how I think the elevated offering came to be.
Are you exploring other non-traditional locations, airports, breweries, anything of that nature, or more on the franchising side?
We've had a couple conversations with airports. Those are a little more tricky just for our concept. You need 3 day parts, which is not a huge lift, but it's a little bit different. So I'll never say never, but right now we're really focused on kind of more traditional corporate brick and mortar and franchise brick and mortar.
Huge news. Toast, our primary technology partner at our barbecue restaurants in San Diego, and the primary technology partner of so many of the guests that we have on this show, have announced they are expanding their business offerings with Google. So now if you search on Google Maps and you sign up for Toast Tables or Toast Waitlist, you will have the opportunity to improve the digital hospitality experience of the guest, allow them to book through the maps into the Toast reservation system. One of the biggest difficulties that restaurant guests have is when they search for your restaurant and they want a table, they do not have an easy solution to book a table or to get on a wait list. This is huge news for the restaurant industry, huge news for guests, and huge news for you, the restaurant owner. Check out Toast Tables today and find out the new integrated solution that they have. This is something that we've wanted for a long time. How do you integrate reservations, wait lists into your point of sale? Toast has done it. Check it out. Bring me back to, give me the name story, the story of the name.
Oh, Mighty Quinn's. So when we started the business in Brooklyn, Hugh's eldest son was named Quinn. So it was named after Quinn. Yeah, no affiliation with like a Bob Dylan song or the Denzel Washington movie. Just because Quinn
Does
is
he
Quinn.
does he work in the business?
Not anymore. No,
Not anymore. No. Well, his name lives on. His name
his name
lives
lives
on.
on. Yes, yes.
That's awesome. Can you how many stores before you started franchising?
We were probably at around 6 or 7. And the only reason we started franchising early was because we had outreach from a group out of Dubai who wanted to bring traditional American barbecue to the region. So at the time we were like, this is kind of a cool idea. And to be honest, like if it didn't work out, we didn't really see any kind of brand reputation risk at home, right? So we said, okay, this is an all upside opportunity. Let's go out there. Let's train these guys. Let's open up barbecue in Dubai. And so we did that, and we realized that we could actually train what we're doing, you know, to a team on the other side of the planet, right? So if we could do that, maybe we could do this in Boston, maybe we could do this in Florida. And that's how we kind of started to develop the systems and protocol and training of the franchise program.
Is there Mighty Quinn's in Dubai now?
There is, yeah.
Really? That's amazing. Yeah. How's it doing?
Good. It's on JBR Beach, which is like a nice restaurant row strip. Seasonal in the sense that like obviously the summer months are extremely quiet. It's like, very hot. But for the 8 to 9 months out of the year, it does good.
Any other plans for more locations in Dubai?
Or
international?
Maybe with this group, we do get inquiries every now and again. This group is looking at some Saudi opportunities, but we're really kind of just if they find something interesting, we'll pursue it with them. But really, we're focused domestically.
Nice. I'd love for you to talk more about barbecue over the barbecue by mail, Goldbelly.
Oh, Goldbelly.
Yeah.
So another business that kind of grew out of a commissary. We didn't have the room to kind of burden a restaurant kitchen with smoking and freezing product to ship, so we used the commissary for that. And at the time it was a slowly, steadily growing business. Goldbelly was super careful about how they curated the restaurants on the platform. I think it's a little bit more broad-based now, more of a kind of a general marketplace on like a curated food experience, which is fine. And then during COVID, I mean, it just, I think our volumes were up like 175% or something crazy. And then going forward, we saw some leveling off as kind of life returned to normal. Yep. But it's a cool business. If someone's out in, Idaho and they want to try a Mighty Quinn's Brontosaurus rib, a few clicks of the button and it's sitting on their doorstep. So it's a cool business. I think it's going to, just because of the cost of shipping, it's something that's more kind of in the theme of gifting as opposed to like an everyday, resource for your family's meal, right? So it's more of like an experiential thing. So it kind of, obviously by virtue of that, Q4 is huge, and holidays are huge, but everything else is a little bit, more on the chill side from a volume perspective.
Do you guys do LTOs, limited time offers?
In the restaurants, yeah.
In the restaurants you do?
Yeah.
What's the reasoning behind the strategy?
We're in a lot
to make life more difficult.
Yeah, we want to make, create as many headaches as possible for the staff and the team. The LTOs are really, I think like most restaurants, we want to have our regulars, come into the restaurant and be excited to try something new. And I think, the LTO programs are a great way to do that. We can showcase, seasonally fresh items. And so, for example, like the one we just finished was a pork belly banh mi rice bowl, which was a smoked pork belly with just kind of an amazing flavor profile in a rice bowl format. So good for lunch, good for dinner. And coming into the heart of the summer, we're now going to be doing a Mexican street corn as a side dish, which can be kind of bought on its own or paired with another rice bowl. So I think like as you get like a lot of regulars, we've been in the city for over 10 years now. I think you need that pull to attract both new customers and also keep the menu fresh and exciting. And it's not that there's going to be an LTO every day of the week. It's just when we think there's something seasonally interesting or an opportunity to kind of, bring something new to the menu, we'll do that. And they typically run, 3 or 4 weeks.
Can you talk about brand? How do you look at brand? How do you view things, decisions that you make on a macro level, but also down to a micro level of something that you put on your, the actual label that you have for a barbecue sauce?
Yeah, it's a good question, because we found going back to my comment about using the Mighty Quinn's, IP to kind of scale, we've done that in real life. So most recently in the consumer packaged goods space, we had a lot of requests for a bottled barbecue sauce, which we started bottling in the commissary and selling to the restaurants. When that business got too big, we had to kind of move that to co-packing. So now we not only sell it in the restaurants, but I think we're currently in around 600 grocery stores.
Wow.
With the bottled sauce. And then we just launched our bottled wing sauce, which actually went live last month. So that'll be hitting the store shelves like now.
What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned in that consumer packaged goods space?
Always co-pack.
Always co-pack.
Well,
Why is that?
For a product like us, when you're doing volume of something that has to be cooked, right? So like our sauce is brought just to a boil before it's done.
Yep.
To do that perfect every time in like a completely sterile, clean environment, it's challenging when you hit a certain volume threshold. You start getting into the decision, hey, do I start buying all this shiny stainless steel equipment and huge kettles and sealing equipment? And you just realize that's not the business you want to be in. You want to be in like the Mighty Quinn's brand business. So if we can partner with, 100,000 square foot facility that already has all that equipment in place, like that's just a no-brainer.
And how do you source relationships and develop relationships?
It's really trial and error. We've gone through a couple different co-packers to make sure, we've had to kill a lot of the conversations at the sample stage of testing, because after the third sample, if this is just a foreign sauce, it's not working. We have to just kind of hit the pause button and turn around and find somebody else. And so we had to do that a few times until we found a co-packer who bought clean ingredients, who understood the flavor profile. As you know, like barbecue sauce is all about those little subtle notes. It's not about like the first thing you taste. So we found that in our current partner, and it's been a good relationship.
Can you talk to me about barbecue criticism?
Barbecue criticism?
Yes, barbecue criticism.
Like for the category or for Mighty Quinn's?
For Mighty Quinn specifically.
Barbecue, as you know, is like, it's one of those things.
We're on the coasts and we're doing barbecue. So
yeah. So look, thankfully we can stay out of that whole regional conversation. Yeah. Like when somebody in our area, when they come into the restaurant, it's like, is the barbecue good or not? That's what they care about. It's not about, oh, is this paying homage to Texas or the Carolinas? Like, what is this? So we get to kind of stay away from that whole dialogue. But I think for us, like, when you're smoking a brisket for 18 hours, right, there's a window where it's perfect. And then there's another window where it's like 85% of perfect. So we're always trying to thread that needle of having like the best product on the plate. But as you know, like, because there's this, like, everything's not cooked to order, it's not always like a slam dunk perfect, right? We do our best to ensure consistency. That's like, consistency is like the holy grail of what we're doing.
Yep.
So that's the focus of really everything. But if there was one critique, I think that we suffered from more so early on than we do now is getting that timing perfect.
One of the things that excites me being in the barbecue space, something that has been around since the beginning of man, cooking with fire and cooking meats slowly, is the advent of all these different tools, these technology tools that help us, once we're out. But how do we leverage technology, predictive forecasting to give us, the crystal ball of how much is this specific location on Wall Street going to sell, so that we're not bringing barbecue that we're not going to sell by the time we close? Any kind of technology tools that you guys are using that you're excited about?
Yeah, I think the focus of our team on like the admin side of the restaurant has really been on the tech stack. And we've implemented a lot of new systems, both to help our existing teams, but also to make sure that franchisees have all the educational resources at the click of a button, both video, text, pictures, everything to make it as seamless as possible. And so, we started off with, some of our cooking programs, which are software based, right? They regulate humidity, they regulate time and temperature. That's been a huge plus, but also just on the managing of just sales and PMix, like we use Toast as well. So I think Toast has a great reporting function. On the ERP side, we use Restaurant 365, same deal. I mean, those two systems integrate.
Yep.
And just, the ability to kind of read data off multiple units, different day parts, different hours, like that really helps us out. But when you're doing something for as many years as we have, you look at 5 years of data, you kind of know, what next week will bring.
Yeah, it's super fascinating to be, like I said, operating in a business in 2023. It's one of the things that I talk frequently about, is that we take the internet for granted, acting like it's been around forever.
Yeah.
when it really hasn't. And even to the level that it is now, how fast things change. But to your point, if you don't have dependable technology that integrates with one another, then what exactly are you doing? When you guys are vetting somebody new, a vendor, whether it's a tech vendor or any vendor to come in, how do you go about the process for partnerships?
Yeah, first we kind of hear the pitch, we understand what the service is, what the product is, and then the immediate next step is give us referrals of people who are using your software, and we want to hear firsthand like what the experience has been. I think a lot of people try to bring tech to the restaurant industry with a concept that sounds great on paper, but as we know, the proof is in the details, and you're always demoing kind of buggy systems or things that don't really perform as expected. And whenever we onboard anything, on a 19 unit system, it's a big lift. So it's got to be right. It's really got to work. We have to know it's going to work before we start that process. So we kick a lot of tires before we hit the go button.
When you're thinking about culture and building, recruiting, the HR side of the business, the human side of the business, how does Mighty Quinn's go about building that culture and recruiting talent?
So at the corporate level, fortunately, like our core team, we've been together for years, and it's a beautiful thing. We all wear multiple hats because we're still a pretty lean operation. Then I think at the store level, our director of ops and his team does an amazing job of finding new managerial talent that understands kind of the passion that it takes to execute barbecue well. And fortunately on that side too, we've had, I would say definitely below industry turnover at the manager level of restaurants. And so we always, of course, we want to create a place where people, enjoy coming to every day. It's got to be, even though it's a job, it's got to be fun to show up to. And, empowering those GMs with the tools to let them treat that restaurant like they own it, and participate in the upside, I think has been important for us.
What excites you on a day-to-day basis? What pulls you out of bed?
I love a day with no fires to put out.
That's why you got in the restaurant business.
Yeah, just to find that utopian day where everything is going right. No, look, I think my favorite thing is just seeing, like, you kind of look at the restaurants on a very granular level at the per location. You can like analyze the P&L. But the cool thing for me is like just to sit back and then you figure out like how many checks you did the past week, like the thousands of people who interacted with the Mighty Quinn's brand every week. It's just a staggering amount of people to think about. It's like a stadium per week of people, and it's that just is a huge opportunity to continue to build the brand and send people home with an amazing memory. And I think like when people talk about restaurants and experiential spending, right? We're at the top of the list, I feel, because you're eating every day. So we love being kind of a puzzle piece in people's life where they can have like a memorable thing like barbecue where they can't make this in the kitchen, right? No one's smoking a rack of ribs in their oven for 6 hours. So at least in the city. So we love being able to offer that.
When you look at where you started with social media and marketing for the brand and look at where you are now, what lessons have you learned, or what stories can you share with not just the growth of your own personal brand, but we're talking about it's no longer Twitter, it's X. You have to be on Threads, you have to be on TikTok. Like, where do you look at that? You mentioned that you're lean, so it's somebody that weight of all that content, of all that storytelling that's going on multiple parts of the organization, but ultimately it comes down to the people at the top. So how do you look at it?
Yeah, social media, as you said, it's an evolving thing, right? We try to be on the platforms where we think our guests are not looking, that's not necessarily looking for us, but where they're exploring content, right? So that's a great discovery mechanism for the restaurant. So I would tell you, and honestly, we're always a little bit late to like the next thing, which I'm fine with. We just are recently on TikTok. We didn't rush on when it was, it's still the thing to do, but we were definitely weren't the first ones on that. So we don't use it as like the end all be all funnel to attract people into the restaurant. We use it as kind of like a nice to have, not a need to have. It's like, the gravy on the meal. If we can get more people in that discover us on those platforms, great. Otherwise, we'll just have our branded presence there, and we'll definitely spend time on it. We want it to be representative of the brand, but we're not necessarily like, I don't have a team, figuring out how to make the next viral TikTok, which,
Yep.
Some restaurants doing that's fine, but that's just not where we're at.
I noticed how much detail you put into the digital experience, the online ordering experience. I know you guys use Lunchbox, huge fan of the work that they do. I've checked out your app. It's phenomenal. It's sexy. It's easy. I haven't ordered from it, but when I come to the Northeast, I definitely will order from it. Can you talk me through the reasoning behind making, it seems like it's such an easy answer, right?
Yeah.
Let's make it easier to order barbecue online. Yet we're in a product category, specifically in barbecue, where it's kind of antiquated. We try to make it, most traditionally, it's as hard as possible to get barbecue from, some of the greatest brands.
Yeah. So the app is great because, as you know, especially for like a lunch crowd, it's all about speed and efficiency, and getting the order right. So when we think about throughput, order ahead is a big part of that. So that's kind of the sole purpose of the app's existence. But if you think about like the content on our website, when we opened Mighty Quinn's, our website was a big about us section. It was just like, here's the brand, here's what we do, here's where we came from. And now it's all transactional. Like the biggest thing that catches your eye is order now or order online, right? And then there's a catering button to order catering. So we know that people are not coming to the website to like scroll through and read about our history. It's like, do they want barbecue or do they not? And if they do, make it convenient and super seamless to order. And so that's why the website is now really just a funnel to order, right? We find where you'll find your nearest location, or the website will find it for you. And hopefully, we've done a good job on making the layout very intuitive and easy to order.
How do you continue your education, your personal growth, your personal development as a leader? What are the things that you do?
I think that every day as we kind of explore new things like the CPG business or opening up in a new market, just acknowledging the fact that the education is the journey, and like since as the journey never stops, neither does the education. So having an open mind that even though we've been in this game for a while, that we don't know everything. And if we do think we know everything, then you're probably not going to kind of move past where you are now. So just being thirsty for new education to understand, how guests are interacting with us, how they find us, a cooler way to order, adding convenience to everything while maintaining consistency. We know because it's never, exactly where we want it to be. We're always striving to push the ball forward. And so I feel like it's that constant pursuit of, this sounds a little cheesy, but like the pursuit of excellence, making every order perfect and knowing we're not there yet. I think that's what kind of continually pushes us forward, makes us look at that new tech tool that's going to enhance efficiency or, minimize, mistakes, that kind of stuff.
Are you someone that lives in the present, lives in the future, or worries about what happened in the past?
I think definitely more future. I come from a Wall Street background, so it's always about like what's the news tomorrow, not today. So that's ingrained in my head. So definitely the future.
When you look into the future, how far do you forecast into the future? What are the big vision? If you look back on this interview and you go, man, I didn't think we didn't dream big enough for this brand. Well, where do you see that?
Yeah, I think it's all, well, in terms of growth, I think it's always a push and, a tug of war between growing fast and not messing it up.
Yeah.
And so there's no clear equation for that. And, I think that in our early stages of growth, we went from 1 location to 4 locations in 2 years. In hindsight, we wish we would have done 1 a year instead of that huge leap forward.
Really?
Yeah. So now though, many years later, I think we have the runway and the team. The thing that we should have known back then is the size of the team, the foundational investment you need to make to scale correctly. Now we know that. And so now I feel much more confident that, the next 7 to 20 stores we can handle.
Yeah.
So, if I fast forward a year and look back from today, I may want to tell my historic self that we didn't move fast enough because we're very cautious. And I think like we've done a good job of building that foundation, and we could probably probably grow pretty quickly.
When we think about the hospitality industry, we spend, it's in our DNA to take care of people. We take care of our customers, we take care of our staff, we take care of our village, our communities, wherever our restaurants are located. But very rarely do we take care of ourselves. And as someone with a Wall Street background and now a restaurant background, what do you do to prioritize your own mental health, mental fitness, physical fitness?
Yes, I guess the one thing, like being in the city, I grew up in LA, which is very much more of an outdoor lifestyle. There's courts everywhere, there's hiking trails everywhere. Now being in the city, you're a little bit more closed in. But I think for me personally, like just, making sure that you hit the gym on some regular basis just keeps me mentally sane. When my wife and I go away for like a week and like there's no gym in sight, like I just feel myself getting like, short fused and just not relaxed. And I don't know, I think like just making sure like what balance in life definitely includes like physical exertion. And without that, other pressure valves start to pop. So that's the outlet for me.
For someone like you, that I know you speak on panels, I know you speak at conferences, I know you're on podcasts. It's something that I encourage anyone that's listening to the show, no matter what position, if you're a founder, if you're a sales professional, marketing professional, the more that you put yourself out there, the more that people can learn about you, the better that you get at it. For you, where's the ROI in the time that you are investing in building your own personal brand?
Yeah, I don't really think about it too much in that regard. I enjoy talking to people on different topics. I enjoy kind of the thought process or the kind of verbal exploration of restaurant trends with people who are much more experienced than me, and kind of understand, using that as a way to understand where things are headed. So I almost use it more as an educational tool than like a brand growing tool. I think every time we have one of these panels or conversations or podcasts, people ask interesting questions, which is great. But I think that just a derivative of that is people learning about the Mighty Quinn's brand. But that's not necessarily like the intention of talking to to people like yourselves or on panels.
Yeah. You hit it on the head. It's business therapy for me. Honestly, for me to have a conversation with you and all the guests that I get to have on this show, or if I go to a conference, I'm always trying to figure out, what my grandfather initially taught me, which was to stay curious, to get involved, and then to ask for help. Curiosity will put you in a situation where you're listening to a podcast, reading a book, attending a conference, but then you actually have to do something. You can't just get the information and not do anything about it. And then finally, it's building a network of people that, you respect and that are playing the game at a much higher level than you are. And you ask for notes.
No, 100%.
How did you do what you do?
I've met like people that I never would have met, founders of these huge companies, guys who are innovating in the restaurant category that would have never been part of my social circle if not going to these conferences and speaking on these panels and talking to people. And the insight and just the relationships you glean from that, it's tremendous.
Yeah. So every single week on Wednesday and Friday on the social audio app Clubhouse, it's a chance for you, the listener. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, it's a chance for you to come on stage and tell us about your restaurant. Tell us about if you're a sales professional, marketing professional, content creator. It's kind of a mastermind, digital hospitality professionals from all over. Every week we do a social shout out. This week's shout out goes to Michael Potter from Adentro Marketing. Michael, we appreciate you coming on stage. Michael does some awesome work with Adentro Marketing, but I wanted to give you a chance, Micha, to shout out one person. I know everyone always wants to shout out the entire team, but give me one person from the Mighty Quinn's brand that's gone above and beyond recently that you'd like to give a shout out on Entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
On the spot.
That's the saying. Hey, which one's your favorite kid?
Which is your favorite restaurant?
Look, I can't single it out. I think I mentioned the team has been with us for so many years, and that's because they treat Mighty Quins like it's theirs. And I'm just astounded by the passion and the time that our team dedicates to making Mighty Quins great. And I have to give a blanket shout out to the team. I can't.
Not one person.
Not one person. Sean, you've been great on getting the tech stack story out there. So I'm gonna give a shout out to you.
Oh, I appreciate it. You're the first guest that's given me the personal shout out. I don't know if I'll accept that. I appreciate it, but I'm honored to have a conversation with you. So real quick, we're gonna do what we like to go through is the smartphone storytelling. Everyone has the ability to be their own media company. It's all in our pocket, but I want to learn about your smartphone usage. iPhone or Android? iPhone, the newest edition, or do you wait?
I wait.
How long do you wait?
I wait until they start draining my battery and tell me to buy a new iPhone.
Fair enough. Do you listen to music on Apple Music or Spotify?
More Spotify.
Spotify. Do you prefer texts or emails?
Texts.
Does your organization use Slack?
No.
So if you're communicating with the team, what do you guys use?
Email typically.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you prefer phone calls or text?
It depends on the topic. I'm either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite app?
Just in general or restaurant
Just in
related?
general. No, not restaurant related. The most used app.
The most used app. That's a tough one. Wow. I've never been asked that question before. Probably the one I check most frequently is probably Bloomberg.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything that kind of happens in our industry is somehow market dependent. What are interest rates doing, unemployment, commodity prices, and just from being a hedge fund nerd back in the day, it's ingrained in me to wake up and check Bloomberg.
What is your least favorite notifications?
Honestly, I turn most of them off.
Most of them are you an inbox zero person?
No, definitely not. But I don't
how many emails do you get a day?
A day, a few hundred.
How many do you respond to most, or do you ghost most?
No, I mean, my policy, my goal on email is to get back to whoever's emailing me within 24 hours.
Okay.
So I typically, if I have downtime, I'll try to knock out all of them in one shot. I don't like not responding to people. Of course, we always get a million sales solicitations. Those get flagged to junk. But in terms of actual emails, I just try to get them out quickly.
Do you take photos or videos? Or neither?
I do probably more photos.
More photos?
Yeah.
What's your personal favorite social media platform for yourself?
Just in terms of viewing, or that we use for
posting? Use for posting.
I'm only on one. Well, I'm on LinkedIn.
I've seen you on X. I see you on X.
Is it X now? I'm on X, but I don't really use it. More so, I have an account just to follow other people, but I don't post or use it. But no, I would say X or Twitter. Twitter is great for kind of real-time news feed. Yeah. And then obviously LinkedIn is great just to keep tabs on all the industry stuff that's going on.
That's awesome. So if people want to learn more about the Mighty Quins franchise opportunities, about the brand, let them know where to go.
Yeah, so mightyquinsfranchise.com is a great first resource for people who are interested. We do have a short kind of lead form, and we have a director of development who handles all inquiries, Alfred, who is the man, and he would get back to you shortly if anyone's interested.
There you go. And it's Mighty Quinn BBQ. Micha, we appreciate you. If you guys want to get in touch with me, it's at Sean P. Walchef, SHAWN PWALCHEF. We appreciate you listening to the show. Please share it with a friend. Please go enjoy some Mighty Quinn's barbecue. If you are in the Northeast, actually, you guys are all over the East. You're in Florida too, right?
Yeah, we opened in Florida last year. Yeah, Tampa.
Sweet.
Shout out to Tampa.
There you go. Shout out Tampa. If you're in Tampa, go get some incredible barbecue. But Micha, we appreciate your time. We look forward to staying in touch. If you or anyone from the team make it to San Diego, please come out and have some barbecue, some Cali barbecue.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The best way that you can help us with the show is to subscribe and write a review. We love the opportunity to connect with you, no matter where you are on the globe, no matter what restaurant you are running. Please send us a DM on social at Sean P. Walchef. If you are interested in toast, if you want to improve your digital hospitality, please send me a DM. I will get you in touch with a local toast representative. We appreciate you listening to this show. The best way that you can help the show is share it with a friend, and we will catch you all next week, or we will see you on one of the digital playgrounds that we call social media.